Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I want to speak of the two voices on the twin flame journey. So, this is me sharing my experience with you all about how there are always two voices present within you when it comes to your twin flame journey. Actually, this is something that always exists within us. It's almost reminiscent of the general duality that exists around us, that we know to be false, that the yin and the yang are separate, or the spiritual or the material are separate, or life and death are separate, or the physical or the non-physical are two entities. Essentially, we know that the truth somewhere is a coexistence of both. It's an amalgamation of the two, right? Like how the yin and yang collapse together, or how the Shiva Shakti, come together in union, or become the Ardhanareshwar, in the which is seen in the form of Shiva, for instance, in the Indian, texts, and in the Hindu scriptures, and the Hindu faith. So essentially, this duality which exists within us exists in the form of the voice of our ego and the voice of our soul, or the higher self. And of course, this is a gross oversimplification because, in again, like the Hindu texts, there is a deeper understanding of how the mind exists at various levels, and, how those various levels of the mind impact us at different points of time. But just for simplification, I'm going to just speak as I have observed it. The two voices inside of us, especially visible and noticeable during the twin flame process. And the first voice is that of your ego, wherein you will hear a lot of doubt and fear coming in for your twin flame journey. Perhaps even a lot of anger for your twin flame, right? Oh, he did this, or oh, he just left out of nowhere. We've not been in contact. All the complaints that you've basically had, about betrayal, pain, and hurt, and sadness, your twin not meeting your expectations. Very importantly, the sound of, your fear. Oh, it will never happen. What if, this happens, that he goes ahead with someone else? Or, what if we never unite? Or what if, situations don't turn around? What if our union doesn't happen? Oh, I don't even know if union is possible. I don't even want it because you know what, it just seems too elusive. My twin is not a really nice person and I don't feel safe enough. The constant doubt about, am I even on the twin flame journey, although I'm seeing all the signs? Is this person my twin flame? All of that is essentially the voice of your ego, right? And you keep listening to this voice and you will keep getting sucked into the negativity of this ego, right? Because this ego's role in life is to protect us from pain. So it's very fear based, just by nature. It is something which is focused on survival, which is focused on fear, because fear is an essential part of survival. If you are not afraid of certain things in nature, of which you should be afraid, you will not be able to survive. For instance, being afraid of fire, of, let us say, deep gorges, etc. If you had no fear, you would just jump into a gorge and obviously, die, or go close to a fire and, experience that burning or something like that. So, this is all, the training of the ego. And the ego looks for a lot of stressors in the environment. The negativity in the environment is what the ego is always focused on, because it is focused on protecting you from pain, protecting you from getting hurt. So this is why it has an accumulated memory as well, right? Now this is, of course, ego, is an abstract term, and I'm not going to be going into the biology of the brain and, how a different part of the brain is responsible for memory and all of that. Just look at it, in the philosophical and the spiritual context only. So the ego essentially has an accumulated memory of the past pains that you may have experienced, the past hurts, etc. And this is what it keeps replaying. And there is definitely a deep underlying core wound as well, underneath all the fear that you experience. If you have deep abandonment wounds, then the ego has learned that one gets abandoned. So this is why one may not want the twin flame journey altogether, even though one is initiated into it. So this is how ego keeps protecting you. But the voice of the soul is a different voice. It's the voice of love. It is the voice of courage. It's the voice which is underneath all of this doubt and, constant questioning of the ego. It's the voice that says, you know what, I really do want my twin because my twin and I are the same. It's a voice with sometimes no voice but just expressed through a sense of feeling. For instance, just looking at your twin, you may be feeling a lot of love that you can't explain, that the ego cannot comprehend, right? You may be feeling a sense of home that again the ego can't comprehend. You may be feeling like this is my person, I've been looking for this person for a while and here we are. The ego again can't comprehend. The ego is of the world, so the ego doesn't get all of these other worldly things. So this is the voice of the soul, and if you connect deeper into this voice in the space of silence where it speaks, you can connect to your twin flame's higher self, and your twin flame's higher self will also speak from this voice of the soul, will tell you how you've tried to reunite so many times and always something or the other kept coming in between, right? And what was this something or the other? Essentially just your ego and just the fears manifesting themselves. The lack of courage or the lack of having that absolute control and freedom over your life. Today in the 21st century, most of you listening are women, and women have had the kind of freedom they've never had before, even in the 20th century or even before that. Never before were women allowed to make the choices they can make now. You can just choose to, for instance, leave a marriage that used to be such a difficult thing, back in the days. It still is in so many traditional societies. You never before could choose to not marry at all, or you could choose to, have so many relationships, or choose to have an independent career, an independent identity that was never encouraged in the past. So this is the apt time for a twin flame union, and even an apt time for a beautiful spiritual awakening, because you have all the liberal freedom to go with the changes that this journey is going to bring into your life. You no longer have to stay in bad or negative situations. Socially, it's not as difficult as it used to be back in the past. For most of us listening, I'm sure, many of us may still be very trapped in situations that are difficult, but trust in yourself. If you really want to get out of those situations, you can. It's just a matter of time. It may not be a sudden getting out, but it can be a getting out which happens over 6 months or 1 year or 1.5 years or something of the sort, right? So always look at this voice of the soul as the true essence of who you are, and that is the voice that should be your guiding light. Because as much as the ego guides you and the ego wants to protect you, there is literally nothing there, in that kind of a protection, other than just the protection of your physical body, in obviously aggravating situations. Other than that, the role of the ego is fairly negative, for you. It gives you negative beliefs. It puts you in a place of self-doubt. It puts you in a place of, rejection of yourself, of disbelief, of not trusting, not going with the flow, of not allowing you to love. So much of our closeness, the defenses around our heart, are essentially ego's mechanisms to protect us, right? So it's not that the intention of the ego is bad, but it's just the role of the ego is like that. As a spiritually awakened being or moving towards that process, it's your core responsibility to transcend the voice of the ego and to listen to the voice of your soul. This is exactly what a spiritual awakening is about. You are no longer going to be necessarily responding from that place of ego. This is the core choice that you have, right? With all the access, to the internet, the access to so many people, the access to great voices speaking on YouTube, the access to books and literature, written by spiritual masters, videos by live enlightened beings today. You have this incredible power now to finally release, this ego, and to finally come into your soul power, and finally become that free version of yourself. And your twin flame awakening and your twin flame journey, this is why is so incomprehensible to the ego, because it is a journey of freedom as well, as much as it is a journey of love. Because that kind of a love is not rooted in attachment. It's not rooted in the physical 3D stuff, right? It's not that, hey, you know what, I expect you to do this and this for me to make me happy. It's not that kind of a love that you attain this love and hence you're happy. It's a kind of love that you only attain when you're happy. Do you understand that? It's not that you need your twin to be happy. This is exactly what the journey is teaching you, that you need to already be happy and fulfilled and the best and the truest version of yourself to attract that. right? So, and this is an automatic attraction. If you've set the intention and your heart is open, essentially, you've surrendered and your heart is open, this is the automatic attraction for you. So, essentially, it's not about pursuing the twin, it's not about getting that divine masculine to come back for you to feel better about yourself. This is where, this journey is so different, because everywhere else it's the egoic journey. So, this is why when you approach the journey through the lens of the ego, this is the mistake that you make. For instance, if you want to, let us say, buy a particular kind of a car which is very expensive, so your ego will say, you need to work really hard, you need to have a lot of savings, and then you need to go and buy that kind of a car. And this is what you do in your twin flame journey. You want that twin flame union, and so you want to start doing all the inner work, and you start like continuously trying to check what are they up to, getting very deluded with all the illusory stuff that happens. And this is where the union never even happens, right? It does not follow the process of buying that expensive car that you want to buy, simply because it doesn't have anything to do with the ego. It has everything to do with the soul, right? And secondly, one very other important thing is that even if you buy that expensive car, it's not necessary that you're going to be very happy. You will want to go for the next goal. You will then want to buy an expensive house. You buy that expensive house, now you will need some land somewhere far away, because your house is in the middle of a city. So now you will probably want a place in the suburbs or somewhere else, near the beach or near the mountains and stuff like that, to have a weekend place. You have that, you'll probably want another car, you'd probably want another foreign trip, right? Or you'd want, you have certain brands, maybe you'd want more brands. This time you stay in a 5-star hotel, next time you'd want to stay in a 7-star hotel. This is the nature of desire. And again, so much has been spoken of, about the nature of desire, about how it's like a river that doesn't stop flowing in ancient Hinduism again. So just understand the gist of this. So you're going to treat, if you're going to treat your twin flame union as just a part of this river of desire, that no, I have this, and now I want my twin flame union, it's not going to happen, because it will not satisfy you. You will think that I have my twin flame, and deep inside, if you're still that unhappy, dissatisfied, unhealed person, you will want something more after that. Or that union itself, because it's such a high vibrational energy, will not sustain in your low vibrational energy, which is focused so much on the lack of you not having things and constantly wanting and desiring one thing or the other. Not that it's wrong to desire, that's not the intent behind this example. The point is that reach a state of contentment within you, know the wholeness of your life. Automatically, with your spiritual upliftment, you will know what you're like. You will not be in a greedy place, and you will not look for the outside to fulfill you, right? Whatever is the situation on the outside, it is not going to matter to the equanimous core within you, that is going to stay still, like I said, equanimous. So it will not be impacted by what happens on the outside. And this is the journey of twin flame spiritual awakening. This is why the journey is a spiritual awakening, and this is why it is a journey which is working on so many levels in your life. It's not just romance and love. It's working at the level of how you feel about yourself, how much do you love yourself, the wounds that you're carrying, what kind of a job you're doing, how do you spend your day, the relationship you have with your body, your mind. All of that is energetically shifted for you, and a lot of things are brought into your awareness for this journey. And a very important part of this is to open your heart. It's to come into self-love, because the walls around our heart can sometimes make us listen to the voice of the ego and make that sound like the real deal, that, oh no, I need to protect myself, it's not going to happen, I'm very afraid, oh God, what, there are all of these negativities, and I don't know if he's ever going to be healed and awakened, and if he's ever going to be the match to who I am, or all of that, or a chasing energy, oh, I'm not good enough, or he's everything, when will he come back to my life. All of that essentially is a way in which you're not valuing yourself, in which you're not able to go underneath all the layers of the blocks of the heart chakra, right? So essentially, just listen to the voice of the soul. This is where your training is, in this journey, to listen to the voice of love rather than the voice of fear. All right. So this is all I wanted to share with you all today. I hope this was helpful. And if you feel guided to book a one-on-one session with me, as explained, and then as I have shared, on the community page as well, that now I work at the level of like a 3-step session. So it's a kind of a session wherein, most, if not all, of your problems are going to be taken up, and you don't need to book like a second session with me unless, of course, you want to understand more about the kind of work that I suggest. It's a comprehensive, very holistic kind of a session that you will not find many people giving or talking about, and it's very tailor made according to the situations and the problems that you are specifically dealing with. So if you feel guided to book a one-on-one session with me, it's affordable. Write to me. My email address is imacompletelife@gmail.com. I'll be very happy to support you and assist you. So I will now see you in the next podcast video. Have a beautiful, wonderful day. Sending you lots of love.